Welcome back to the Viper Miner channel. Today I want to go over a couple things as we approach ETH POS mark. It's in a couple days, and there's a couple things that have been happening ahead of this. If you haven't heard, there's this attempt to fork the chain over to a proof of work state still, but there's some problems, I think, with it as well. And you can see like AVAE, however you say that, has actually stopped allowing their platform to lend, their users to lend and borrow ETH right now because they're afraid of liquidity, which I can't blame them, because what people are doing right now is with this fork thing, ETH, which is symbol ETH POW, they are trying to basically keep a proof of work state. The problem with that is they're offering a airdrop, and it's a one-to-one airdrop. So if you have an ETH wallet with ETH in it, whatever you have in it, you will get that same amount. That sounds great on the surface, right? But start peeling away the onions, and what you're seeing is ETH. People are borrowing ETH right now, right? So they're taking an ETH and they're saying, "Hey, let's put that in my wallet," and then in a couple days they get the airdrop, and then they're going to return the ETH, which very well could start a short squeeze. People are maybe not doing this for the right reasons, in a sense of, and not there's a right or a wrong reason, but there are probably people out there who are saying, hey, it's free money, I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to sell it right away. So what was at 40 something the other day is now less than zero, maybe. There's potential for heavy risk. So I just want to warn people about that. Do be careful. And I know, like, you have to have the ETH in an exchange. I think it's crypto.com, or no, Coinbase, I believe, has it. The article, I'll link the article down here so you guys can see it. But also the other non-exchange, one of the first places they're going to look for the wallet is in MetaMask. And that, just be careful. If you haven't set up a MetaMask wallet yet, do be careful, because you're going to have to put the chain ID in there and all that, which they haven't released yet, as I could tell. And if you do that wrong, you could be sending everything inside your MetaMask to somebody else. So, and there's a lot of people out there trying to scam people. So look at somebody who's got a tutorial on how to do that. Blind Driver's got one. I'm sure HIVEOS has got one. Red Panda's got one. I know Voxcoin's got one. Get it from somebody reputable that will walk you through that and go from there. Just be very careful. This reminds me of a situation where you could be caught up in a very tight, fast-moving short squeeze, and that's not good, right? You don't want to do that. All right, so we got that little PSA out of the way. So let's start looking at this now. So let's hit refresh. I don't know if this actually refreshes as accurately if you do that. All right, so 2 days, 9 hours, 39 minutes for the bomb to start going off. Shortly after that is going to be the merge, 3 days, 8 hours. So about 24 hours after the bomb goes off. And this is still moves around depending on difficulty, okay? So if you haven't already, start looking at overclocks. And I went through like 7 tips, and I'll leave a card up over here somewhere for doing your rig checks and everything else. Because like if you only mined ETH for the last couple of years, and then start going to Ravencoin or even Nexus, that POW algorithm uses a lot of energy, produces a lot of heat. You need some checks to make sure everything's okay. Make sure your overclocks are good. Make sure your rigs are still good. Make sure your cards are well pasted and cooled, and go from there. Okay, so now there's a couple things that you can look at strategy-wise to go do this. You can go ahead and do a HODL and just pay your electric bill out of your pocket, which is some people can do, some people can't, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. Some people have to sell a portion of what they make to help pay their electric bill. Some have to pay have to sell a lot, or there's not going to be profitable. So you have to make that decision. Okay. But if you're not, even if you're going to HODL, the idea is that you want to grab as much coin as you can in the bear market. So either how much coin to save for the bull market coming up, or to be able to turn around and sell a portion of that to pay your cost, and then save for HODLing for when the bull market comes back. How do you do that? Because not everything's equal, right? And if you go to what to mine right now, I can't type this morning. This is not going to be accurate anymore. Okay, so let's just grab grab the 3080s I got in the one rig, and I do a calculation. Of course, ETH is still showing up as #1 because it's still, you can still mine it. But then you start looking through here, and this is where it's at. This is not going to be, this from 0 down, this is not going to be the same. The difficulty level is going to change. Okay, it is going to change. Mark my words, because all these ASICs on here are going to have to go somewhere. All these GPUs are going to have to go somewhere. There's not enough hash across the rest of these coins to take all this in. Now, some are going to have to, because it won't be as profitable, we'll have to turn off the rigs. Electric is going up across the country, I imagine around the world. And so you're going to have to make sure that you understand the difficulty level. And this is not going to do it. This won't do it for you, right? This is, if you turn around and let's hypothetically say ETH is not here, and your first coin profitable on your cards is 0, and then say next, and so let's say you're set up to run on the Nexa. So you're going to go run this compile algorithm, and I guarantee you by the time this shows up that it is a profitable coin for you on what to mine, it's already too late. Okay, you gotta have to start looking at individual coins and understanding difficulty. So one of the best ways for you to go do that, is there a dark mode to this? I don't think so. Yeah, no dark mode. So I've had ETC up here, which is a great example because all those ASIC miners will be able to switch over to ETC. So I have so you go to miner stat, okay, you're gonna need coins, and then select the coin you want, and then they give you a bunch of stuff here. The calculator and all that, that's not going to be accurate at this point because, again, not everybody's moved over to ETC yet. But look at the difficulty level, right? So if I look at difficulty, and don't do all, but let's look at, say, the last 3 days, it's kind of been hanging around here, and it actually dropped on earlier today, because today is the 11th, and now it's going back up. So if you would have seen this probably at what to mine, it would be already too late. You need to look at this ahead of time. So you can see this is already starting to hike up, right? So if I expand this out a little bit more, you can see we're coming up to another where people are coming back on. So that could very well be the jazz miners that are starting to run out of memory, and it's not becoming profitable for them to actually run, even though they're very efficient. But because in order for them to mine the DAG size on ETH, it's sucking up part of the operating system RAM, so it's not allowing very good hash rate. Now there are some new iPolos coming out that are just under 6 gig, but pull out 0.2 for the OS, and they can mine ETH, but in 2 days it doesn't matter. They're going to be mining ETC. So there's that. Now you need to understand difficulty level too, how fast, and that's where you're going to have to go into the white papers, how fast each of the coins and the chains actually update their difficulty. I'm going to give you a great example, okay? So if I go back here and I type in ERGO, if I can type today, and we go over here to difficulty. Now look at ERGO's been jamming, right? This is difficulty level. It's getting harder and harder to mine ERGO. ERGO is turning out to be, because it is the coin that has been built from the ground up for proof of work. It is kind of like everybody's really looking at ERGO and they're looking at Flux. Those are the two I think are the ones to keep your eye on. Now let's expand this only out to like 3 days, and then let's push this. I wish they had like a 14-day thing here. But notice how it stair steps, right? It's slow to reacting. The algorithm is slow to reacting to increased difficulty. So in other words, even though there's more people coming on, you'll have still time to mine before the next difficulty bump, okay? And that would be the same as if people are coming off, it'll be slower to come down, for this to come down. So you need to watch, like ERGO, it's like, okay, so we got, everything else is going up, but ERGO will be slower to react to an influx of miners into ERGO. So it could be to your advantage, right? So you need to understand that, right? So if you're mining ERGO, hey, this is really good, but realize that in a couple days, or even, I think there was actually one here that moved so fast, I think it's further out, that it actually moved out. So if we actually look at like a 3-hour hour window here, do I get anything? How about 12 hours? Why am I not seeing any kind of difficulty? All right, let's go 1 day. See, it doesn't even show a change because it's so slow in moving. You got to go at least 3 days. So it'll stay for the whole day like that. That is really good for a miner in the sense of I can get in and not be late, right? So it gives you some time. So you need to watch these charts. So let's look at Flux. So if I go back out to coins and I do Flux. Now Flux, I don't know, it's because ERGO people are flocking over to ERGO, but most Flux's difficulties come down, right? So we go back out to 3 days and kind of expand out a little bit more. We got this up down hash, difficulty level here, and then we're right here, right? So yesterday, at the end of yesterday, we were at 42.3. Now, right now live, we're at 46.5, and it is 11:38 a.m. September 11th. All right. So that's kind of like what I want to cover. You need to understand these, and the way you figure out how fast the algorithm is going to move on difficulty is you need to go through the white paper and just start looking through that and figure out what's their mechanism for doing that, right? Let's look at one more coin just as an example. Let's look at something you can mine. Now let's look at Raven. All right, so let's go to difficulty. And Raven's kind of dropping off a little bit today as well. Let's go 3 day. So you can see how Raven does up, down, up, down, up, down. It's very consistent in this up, down trend, right? So what I find interesting is I would personally think that in the mornings, in the evenings, and late at night, the difficulty would go up because I will mine Raven in the middle of the night through a scheduling program on HIVEOS because it's cooler, especially here in Florida. It is so hot still that I will mine this type of coin with this algorithm in the evening, late evening to early morning, and then switch back to whatever I'm mining, so ERGO or Flux or ETH, whatever it is. So even here, if like this is, you think this would be higher. At least I personally think it would be higher, but clearly the difficulty level is not. So that could be, I have to go in I haven't looked through the white paper yet for Raven for difficulty. So that very well could be just how it's fighting difficulty. So it could just be the pattern, which actually works out good for me because, and anybody else who wants to mine in the evening, and then, assuming you're US based, and then go from there. But you need to make sure that you understand what the difficulties are, because you won't make as much coin, right? I don't think they have it. The other thing I was going to look at real quick with you guys is there are, so like if you got XMR here, but then if I go back out, and what's their difficulty? Because that's a CPU coin, and I think CPUs are going to be kind of what's going to keep miners afloat for a while, because that's low power, and it's and you can build some pretty good stuff. Bitcoin, I think a lot of I see this more and more now, and talking with people, they're giving up their they're turning off the GPUs and they're buying one or two Bitcoin miners. Because of the bear market, they have dropped really much in price, and so you can pick up one, for a couple thousand and get it shipped to you within 2 weeks. But if you look at the difficulty level, just even in Bitcoin, it has gone up, but it's not. You got days before it goes up, right? So I think this spike is people now trying to figure out where they're going, right? So a lot of big farms are probably switching to Bitcoin, and there's even some big YouTubers out there that are putting big Bitcoin farms up, and so they're pivoting, right? So that's what we need to figure out, is where people are pivoting. I really think Bitcoin is going to be around forever. I know there was an article that came out from the White House saying that they want to ban all crypto mining, all proof of work. There's no way that's going to, I can't see that happening. I can't even see that legally happening, right? You would have, the president would have to not, he can't sign an executive order that way. He's going to have to go through Congress, but that would hinder every other industry that uses electricity and stifle growth and innovation at that point. I just don't see that happening. And I would love for some politician to listen to miners, because I still can't wrap my head around how you can get 99.9% less electricity when you're going from a miner to these big warehouses of server racks and everything else, like AWS and Azure and all that. They all draw a lot of power, just like a Bitcoin mining firm. Not only that, but with flare gas and everything else, I mean, it's helping the system too. I haven't seen any Bitcoin miner put out greenhouse gases yet. Anyway, that's just my opinion, but that's kind of how you're gonna have to start looking at the difficulty levels here to see what's going on. And I was going to show you guys. So if you do, yeah, so they're showing you, which is kind of nice as well. Here's ERGO on 2 miners. Then you can come here and you can see what their network hash is. So I can see what their network hash is on ERGO, right? Because clearly people are moving on to it. But you can also see where the pools are. Now, the other place that I highly recommend is mining. Why you cannot type today for some reason. Mining pool stats, and then of course, go in here and see where the pools are. The one nice thing too is that if you, a lot of pools are trying to get your business. So like if you go to Flux mining pool is doing 0 fees right now. So is Hero Miners, and that's actually for solo mining as well. Flux Pools, which is the developers of Flux Pool, is also doing 0 fees. So you can get a little extra oomph into your for the month of September, which is kind of nice. I'm actually doing a comparison on 2 rigs that are very similar. I got about 250 souls running on Hero Miners and 250 souls on Flux Pool, and I'm going to do another video with the results coming up here real soon to discuss what I think, at least my personal opinion, which one's better, which one seems to be paying out a little bit better, and then also how usable is the interfaces. They're both brand new, so there's pros and cons for both. I'll just leave it at that, and you have to watch the video. All right, guys, have a great day. Be safe, be profitable, and keep on mining.